Lana here. Welcome back to 3 Degrees of Love Divination. So, welcome back to my live stream. I know it's been a while since I have. Let me see if I can make this clear. Hold on. Oops. One sec. It's been a while since I've done a live. Okay, hopefully. Too bright? Well, it's too bright for me. Okay. Anyways, yeah, so welcome. And of course, if you're joining me live, great. If you happen to be catching this on playback, that's also great. So today I wanted to talk about, well, what I've been working on, but also what something that has really I've been really reflecting on, I should say, rather. And as you know, and if you've been watching my channel and you've been following along, you would see that I do talk a lot about grief, introspection, love, and healing, and combining that therapy practices along with tarot. And of course, as an advocate for mental health, I will always lead and recommend that you seek professional assistance if you are really, really struggling, especially when it comes to things like addiction and mental illness and certain diagnosis. There are a lot of people in the world who, suffer from mental health. Some people suffer in silence. Some people are too afraid to speak up. And as this live is all about today, is even talking about those who struggle with chronic illness and how often that can be a lonely journey. Um, People often feel very invisible, um, and often forgotten about. And this, of course, I'm also speaking from my own personal experience as well. Battling and living with chronic illness that presented itself after I completely burnt out of my profession as a social worker, working, in personal care with clients and things like that. Working with various groups of individuals that have disabilities and things like that. And then, what sort of made it harder for me on my journey is when things really fell apart for me, feeling very withdrawn and very lonely and very abandoned, um, and very misunderstood. And as I've been on my healing journey, and I have, been seeking and had the opportunity to have regular therapy sessions and get more in tune and understanding with my own emotions and my feelings and how I process things. I've also, leading on to my my own spirituality, my own religious upbringing, but excuse me, doing away with the dogmatic aspects of it and making it and finding it very personal on my journey. And that has also included tarot and oracle and other forms of divination on that journey as well. And so one of the things that, and as I have mentioned earlier, still going through the grieving process of losing my father, and what that's been like, carrying, you know, and dealing with complex, on top of chronic illness, carrying and dealing with complex, prolonged grief over the course of 13 years. Um, and, and grief, one thing that, I would say this journey has taught me is that grief can, well, for one thing, it's not linear. And not only that, but grief can come in many forms. We can grieve loss of jobs, we can grieve loss of relationships, we can grieve lost loved ones, health, right? So many things. And then when it's compounded and multiples, that can be a lot for any one nervous system to have to deal with, and by themselves or with minimal support. So, one thing this journey has taught me is how to hold space for myself and others, and also, to really understand the depth of compassion and healing and empathy. So, part of the grief series that I've been working on, one of the things that have also sort of came out of this is a spread for, like I said, this is very chronic illness friendly, and I figured we would go through the spread together with cards today, and I will have the spread listed in the description box for you at the end of my live stream. But I figured let's, go through it together today. And I found what not better deck to do this with than, of course, the Gentle Tarot by Mari in the Sky, and and her latest companion deck, My Friend Fire. So that's what we're going to be doing this spread with today. So if you are wanting to follow along, whether or not you have your own deck of cards or not, and you want to, because even this spread is even just, I would say, is even friendly, even if you're not, into cards and you're not reading tarot, but you can answer the questions and reflect on them and journal. So that I really much enjoy as well, because you don't have to necessarily be a person who is into divination or read tarot to even follow along with this. Hi there, welcome. Thank you for being here. Yeah, so first off, we've got the Gentle Tarot. This is the first edition second printing that I have. And also the newest deck by Mari in the Sky, indie creator. I believe also has several editions of the Gentle Tarot out, and I think is working on another edition too. So yeah. Okay. So all right. So I also want to remind you that, my channel is meant to be a safe space to share and learn and grow and heal, right? So So I hope that you will follow along, participate. And like I said, if you're catching this on playback and you're seeing it, then even letting me know in the comment section, whether or not you've been able to follow along and how that's been for you. Like I said, it's a body check-in spread, and there are 6 prompts, and we're gonna go through them today with the cards. So actually, I think first what I'm going to do is start with an oracle from My Friend Fire. And we will close with My Friend Fire as well. And then we'll use, these are the backs of My Friend Fire. They're gold gilded. And if you want to see a walkthrough of the cards, which I'll probably maybe do like a top down later, we can most certainly go through them even, and maybe a side by side with the Gentle Tarot. So I'm going to shuffle these right up. Give me maybe this, maybe. Okay. So what do we want to know for the collective today? Starting us off from My Friend Fire. And the reason why I picked, because this is not, as I've been working on my grief series, this is not the deck I had initially was thinking of working with. But for this spread, for the chronic illness, gentle body check-in, I felt that the Gentle Tarot along with My Friend Fire would be really suitable for this reading, because I feel like there's just something about the Gentle Tarot, and then with the new deck by Mari, My Friend Fire, I just felt, because for someone who lives with chronic illness, and that's the thing, chronic illness, that's the hard part, is that chronic illness is, for a lot of people, is something that goes very unnoticed, especially when it's invisible, when it's not a loss of a limb or some actual visible impairment. It's really hard for for those living, because the struggle really goes unseen by the majority of people, right? Unless you absolutely know that person, you've either lived with that person, or you've been intimate with that person. You don't know what their struggle is. It's one thing to hear someone's story, but it's another thing to live it all together. And the one thing that really gets me too is the fact that I have a hard time is how I feel, how cold and lack of understanding and empathy can be had for people like that, because if you're not living it, you don't know what it feels like. So it's very easy for someone to say, oh, why don't you just do this or do that? Well, maybe that worked for you, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work for me, right? And so, that lack of patience and things like that, it can be very hard. And it's not just those individuals that you may meet, but sometimes too, the invisibility is systematic. For example, someone who, is trying to apply for disability, but their disability isn't seen. It goes in, right? It's something that only they know because they feel it internally. So it can be very, very hard for someone else to understand when they're not experiencing it. And then when you're living very isolated, you know, and especially if the isolation is, you know, is health related and health induced, I should say. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So what do we have overall message for the collective today from my friend Fire? What do we have? What do we have today? Okay. Okay. So the card that flew out is 24, 1 heartbeat. So that's the overall message that we have today. 1 heartbeat. 24 adding up to 6. 6 being the equivalent of the Lover's card in the Major Arcana, and that's the choice card, right? Love is a choice. Empathy is a choice. Compassion is a choice, right? 1 heartbeat. Okay. I'm going to read the guidebook on this one. This 24. Okay, here we go. Okay. 24, 1 heartbeat. I am not separate from the comet in the sky, the lava in the earth, or the howl of the wolves. The trees are my skin, the snowy mountain tops my breath. These colors are my colors. The endless expanse of space is my heartbeat. In this knowing, my flame is fed by all of existence. I am not alone. This connection runs through my voice, my thoughts, and my dreams. Allow yourself to howl, bloom, and shed. All of life beats within you. Isn't that so true? And I feel like that's also very fitting for chronic illness because, like I said, when you're living with chronic illness and it seems to be remains unseen by the majority of people, doesn't mean that it goes unfelt. It doesn't mean it goes unlived and experienced. So that understanding that we are all part of the same one whole. We are not alone. And so when we feel excluded, we can feel and be left to feel like we're separate, like we don't exist. Because when you're not the one experiencing it, it can be hard to understand. But that's when the understanding of cognitive empathy, of emotional empathy, somatic empathy, building those skills and that sense of understanding. When you feel it, you know it. So you can understand it. And the thing to be mindful for everyone else is that we are all one circumstance away from being in another person's shoes. Okay. So that's our overall card message for today. All right. for my friend Fire. So I love that. And now from the Gentle Tarot. So, okay, so we have prompt 1. Where is my body today? Not where it should be, where it actually is. Okay. So bearing that question in mind. Why am I putting it there? I don't know. Okay. Okay, so this is the Gentle Tarot. Okay, so the first question. Where is my body today? And by this question, not necessarily mean, you know, like physically, like I'm sitting on my couch and in my own home, like, right? But in regards to what we feel in our bodies. Okay. And I mean, depending on, you know, who you are and you know, how you interpret these questions, of course, you know, is totally up to you. Because depending on what it is that you may be struggling with, you know, being in your you know, where your body is at can be relative to what it is that you're able to do. So, you know, let's say, for example, you're someone who has trouble getting out of bed, you know, because you are feeling a lot of pain in your body. And so sometimes you can find yourself bedridden for days. That's something to also, you know, be mindful of. So of course you're reflecting on these, how it means for you. Okay, so where is my body today? First question. Okay. Okay. So the first card that came up is the Fool card. So that's like the starting card. So to me, this feels like neutral, ready for action, not really sure what the next step is, but knowing that there's a step to be made. So almost like, because it's the 0 card, I feel like ready for action, clean slate. Okay. Question 2. What is my nervous system asking for? So thinking in regards to along the lines of rest, stimulation, grounding, softness, etc. Okay. Okay, so this is question 2. What is my nervous system asking for? And of course, if you don't have cards, you can by all means follow along, journal the questions, and even if you want to use the cards that are chosen during this live, you can totally do that and reflect on that for yourself. I'll even, what I'll do is when I put the questions in the description box, I will take a photograph of the cards and post that as well, so you can see what that is. And also, just to give you an idea, this spread is also a spread that I've created to be part of the overall grief series that I'm working on. So yeah, okay. So question 2, what is my nervous system asking for? Okay. Okay. So here we have the High Priestess. So we have another major arcana card, High Priestess. So for question 2, what is my nervous system asking for? So with the High Priestess card, what I reflect on in regards to this is the nervous system wants to be acknowledged. It wants to not only be acknowledged, but understood. Its needs, its wants. For you to be in tune with it. The more in tuned you are, the less likely you are to burn out, because you will be listening to it. Building that relationship of understanding. Okay. 3, what emotional weight am I carrying? Oh, 2 cards came out for that. Okay. So 2 cards came out for what emotional weight am I carrying? Grief, frustration, loneliness, fear. I would say yes. To me, this speaks of, because here we have the 3 of Stones, and the 3 of Stones representing for the 3 of Pentacles. So cooperation, partnership, team building. So having a network of individuals who understand, a sense of community. With the 9 of Thunder, which would be the equivalent to the 9 of Swords, fear, frustration, worry. So worry about who's in your support group. If the people that are in your support group, are they reliable? Okay, so that is emotional weight. The other thing that comes to mind too is the expectation of performance. You know, what other people are expecting from you, whether or not you can live up to those expectations. Okay, so that was question 3. What is within my capacity today? What is within my capacity today? Ooh, okay. Justice. So we have 4. What is within my capacity today? With the justice card being here, I feel like this is about pacing, grace, understanding, and patience. Yes. So that whole idea, what comes to mind is even thinking about for those that suffer from addiction, right? Those that maybe in AA and understand, the serenity prayer. Give me the strength, the the serenity. Hold on. Why all of a sudden I'm lost for words for the serenity prayer. To accept the things I cannot change. The courage and the strength to change the things I still can. And the divinely guided wisdom to know the difference. Give me the serenity. Thank you. Give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage and the strength to change the things I can. And the ability to know the difference. The wisdom to know the difference. Yeah. Okay. All right. So 5, what deserves compassion instead of pressure? What deserves, oh, wow. And in that we have the Sun card. So, what deserves compassion instead of pressure? Yourself. You're here living another day. Despite all the challenges. Even if all you're doing is surviving today, you've still made it. You've made it through. So giving compassion for yourself. Even if all you did was get up and brush your teeth, you did something. Especially if that's something more than you were able to do the day before. Okay. And then we have, okay, and then we have 6. One gentle action I can take today. No, it's too many cards. Okay. One action you take for today. Okay. We have the 4 of Wands. So 4 of Wands is all about foundation and structure. As we can see here, this person here, in all of their naked glory, is they have their hands up, praising, being thankful. I feel like this card even speaks to taking that very first step in recognition of self. Starting with the foundation of self here. So remembering and being present within the body. Remembering that you are a person. That's the beginning of the transformation. Like I see the butterflies here, or the butterfly wings. Surrendering to change. Yeah. So I really like that. We have from 1 through 6, and of course I think I have 7 cards because one of the questions came out with 2 cards. So yeah, so we started off with 0, the Fool. We had 2, the High Priestess. For question 3, we had the 9 of Thunder along with the 3 of Stones. Then for question 4, what is within my capacity today? We had the Justice card. What deserves compassion instead of pressure? We had 19, the Sun. And then one gentle action I can take today. And that is, we have 4 of Wands. And to me, that's enjoying being who you are, surrendering to what is, and being thankful for where you are right now. That's all you can do. Even if that's all you can do. So I really liked that. And I feel like I said, it's a very simple spread that I feel like you can use to check in at any time, even if you wanted to do a daily check-in, and reflect upon the questions. You more than absolutely can do that. Even if you don't have a deck to work with, excuse me, you can still even just reflect on the questions and journal and write whatever comes up for you. So with that being said, we're going to close with My Friend Fire. And this was the opening card, 24, heartbeat. 1 heartbeat, actually. So let's pull another card and see what else comes up to close. And these are gorgeous cards, by the way. And I will have the link should be there if you are interested in the cards from Mari in the Sky. Okay. Silence. Silence is what comes up. And as this is the next card to come out, and the understanding of one heartbeat along with silence, that understanding that, you know, going within, taking that time for self-reflection, not letting the thoughts and actions and opinions of others take you away from what you know to be true for yourself. And even if you don't know what that is, taking the necessary time out to figure that out for yourself. Because maybe you're a person who has grown up under the constant criticism and judgment of other people, to the point that you have no idea what or who or what makes you tick or move. Maybe you've been stuck living someone else's life for so long that you don't know what your desires are. Yes, we are all one in, you know, in the eyes of the universe, because we're all the universe, right? But we're fractions, we're fractals, we're images and reflections of one larger picture, right? And we all have our unique perspectives, personas, our likes and our dislikes, right? Our culture, right? We've diversified ourselves. But it's also about respecting and appreciating those differences, and learning and being open, being mindful and considerate. So it just comes through, you know, even what I always say at the end of every video. I am love and so are you. When I look in the mirror and I see myself as human, I know that when I look out into the world and at you, that you are human too. I hope that we can all see ourselves that way and see each other that way too. And have that respect and understanding for one another's journey, even if it doesn't look the same. So I hope that you would take care of yourself and one another. Help to heal each other and lift each other up rather than breaking each other down. And while you're at it, please don't forget about me too. If you like my lives, please make sure to hit that notification bell so you'll always be in the know when I post my next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below, did you enjoy this live and me doing lives like this? And sharing tarot spreads and working through the tarot spreads with you. Yeah. And like I said, I will have the tarot spread in the description box later on so that you can check that out for yourself. And if you want to do this tarot spread for yourself and practice that for you, especially if you're a person like me living with chronic illness and sometimes feel unseen and forgotten about, and people don't understand you. But as long as you love and understand yourself, that's first and foremost the most important thing. So, yeah. So, with that all being said, please make sure to check out my other videos in the meantime. I have a whole list of playlists out there. We have full moon total lunar eclipse coming up on March 4th. And as we are closing out the last couple of days of February and Black History Month, and the month of love even, it means a lot for me to be able to share with you as I continue on my healing journey, and hope that you get something out of it too, as much as I do, watching and following along, and supporting other people as I see them doing wonderful things, and healing and growing within the spiritual community. Sometimes not all of it is necessarily always that great, but isn't that the world we live in, right? We're perfectly imperfect human beings. But even with all that being said, please, I hope that you'll remember to check your privilege, mind your magic, and as always, live, listen, and learn. I love you all so, so much. Thank you for joining me today. Take care, everybody. Bye.